Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but we want to give a shout out to our partners, the Global Community of Women in High School Sports, the Florida Coaches Coalition, We Coach, and Vital Signs Wall of Fame. You've heard me say many times, these are four great organizations. You really need to be a part of them. And now don't hit that fast forward button. Stay with us for the next 3 minutes as we give our sponsors their shout out. These are all companies that I used as a coach or an AD. You should be using them too. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their entire suite of platforms designed to help you do your job better. Snap Raise is hands down the best fundraising platform out there, but you have Snap Connect, Snap Store, Snap Manage, and a whole lot more. You'll find it all at snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to District 1. Go to district1.com. That's WON. And you're going to feel like you've won when you check out their custom uniforms, their on-time delivery, and their one-at-a-time replacement program. You don't have to order a full set when you just need one or two. Go to District 1, click on the Team Gear button, and you'll get a free quote. District1.com. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Hometown is digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, more customization. You'll find it all at hometownticketing.com. We want to thank Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. We use it for home games, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Their products are tremendously versatile, and the customer service is just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to find out more. We want to thank Home Campus for their support. Go to homecampus.com. They are the official state association and student athlete clearance platform for the podcast. It's also your one-stop platform for scheduling, eligibility, and a lot more. Like I said, go to homecampus.com to find out all the things that Home Campus can do for you. We want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. You know, they have a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. If you're looking for a cool way to display your record boards, a cool way to display your school's Hall of Fame, or just tell more compelling stories, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to thank Huddle. Change the way you see the game. Go to huddle.com. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle sent them that allowed them to coach our kids at the highest level. Join the 6 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com for more information. We want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. Start creating world-class marketing content for your school's social media channel. That's Gipper.com. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. It's so easy, even I can do it. One more time, Gipper.com. And we want to thank the pros at Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. If you're not using a survey to take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes, you're really missing out. Athletic Surveys will connect you with that 2% that want to complain all the time, but they'll also connect you with the 98% that love and support your program. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have. Go to athleticsurveys.com to get started. athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to Wisconsin today, and we're going to be visiting with Jennifer Boberg. Jennifer is the interim athletic director at Sun Prairie Area School District. That's in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. We connected on LinkedIn, thought she'd be a great guest, and here we are today. So Jennifer, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, as we mentioned, it's still summertime, but schools are getting back in the groove. We're recording this on July 28th, so it's going to be pretty timely by the time you're listening to it. Jennifer, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up, maybe take us up through your own high school and college years, and then we'll take our first break and then come back and hear about some of your early career. But what's the Jennifer Boberg origin story?
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I have a unique story that I am born and raised here right in Sun Prairie. So I kind of have a roundabout way. I was here and I went off to college and then ended up coming back home. So um, Sun Prairie High School, I was an athlete, played volleyball, basketball, track and field for all 4 of those years. And it's kind of ironic now looking back, I was a TA also in the athletic office. So, even from like back then, I just kind of knew that this was something I wanted to do. And so after high school, I went off to college at UW La Crosse, and I knew I liked sports and I knew I liked working with kids. And so it just sort of naturally fell in to get a degree in physical education and health education. And so I spent about 5 years up there doing some intramural sports, working at the YMCA. And from there, I got my first teaching job in Valders, Wisconsin, kind of across the state. And I taught for a year there, 6th through 12th grade PE and health. And I was coaching and, doing all the things that a first brand new teacher does to get involved. And a unique opportunity came up at the end of that year. And there was an opening in Sun Prairie here, my hometown. And so I jumped at that, getting back closer to family in a little bit bigger town. And so this is where I have been since. And I just finished up teaching my 11th year in the district. I've taught 8th grade, 9th grade, and just last year at our new West High School, 10th through actually 9th through 12th grade. So I've kind of focused more in the secondary levels in teaching. During that time, I went back to school through Ohio University with a colleague of mine. We decided, hey, you know what? We like athletics. We want to further our careers. But we were busy coaching and teaching as well. So Ohio offered a really nice, mostly online program for Masters of Athletic Administration. So we did that. And kind of around the same time, a middle school athletic director job opened in the school I was in. So basically running, the 7th and 8th grade athletics for the middle school, as well as being a teacher. So I just finished up, I believe, year 6 of doing that. So I've been, involved in athletics in our district for a while. And so just this past couple months, an opportunity came up to help out here at Sun Prairie East in the athletic office. And so I'm excited to be here as an interim, kind of filling in, learning, but also, applying what I've been doing for some time now. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here. So.
All right, a great variety of experiences. I'm going to jump all the way back to your high school experience. You said you did track. Okay, I was a track guy. What were your events? Okay.
Oh, my favorite events. I would say the 4x2 relay, 4x200 relay, and the 4x4 relay.
All right, yeah, very good.
Relay.
Yeah,
relay.
all right. Yeah, I was a hurdler, a high jumper, but also ran on the 4x4.
Okay.
And really enjoyed that. All right, let's talk more about you.
Sure.
You mentioned that you've been teaching, at the 8th grade level. You're a middle school AD. That's where I started my career. What have you found to be unique about working with middle school student athletes or even middle school coaches and middle school parents? Anything you can share at this point?
I just think it's an exciting thing to be a part of, because it's like their first experience, in a school sponsored athletics. And so it's exciting for families. They're really eager to get involved, and the kids they just like soak it all up. They love it. It helps them get connected to school. And the great thing about at least our middle school teams is we don't cut, it's a no cut policy, so we welcome any and all levels. So that's one thing that I think is pretty unique and good.
Absolutely. And it makes a good case, if you will, for putting your very best coaches at the middle school level to ensure that the fundamentals get taught, the kids have a great experience, so they come back and they want to participate on those later teams.
Exactly.
I always ask this question, so I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. Do you have any recollections of kids that have gone through your program that maybe as a middle schooler, they weren't that superstar. Maybe they were just hanging on. They were the last kid on the roster, but because they got that opportunity, they ended up blossoming as a ninth grader, 10th grader, and went on to, let's say, good or maybe even great things at the high school level?
I can't think of anybody in specific right now, but I do know that there are cases where, at the middle school level, we have what's like an A team and a B team for each grade. And the A team is kind of the more skilled players playing at a higher competitive level. B is more, beginners. And then in our ninth grade, historically, we've kept 3 teams at the ninth grade, or sorry, 2 teams at the ninth grade level. And usually, not many kids from that 8th grade B team make it on, but I know there's been some years where they put in the hard work in the summers and off seasons, and they make it, and they keep going through. And so those are always kind of fun stories to hear about and connect with the kids on. So
No, you're absolutely right. And even if they don't go on to a great high school career, we've done our job and your coaches have done their job by giving them that great 8th grade experience. Very cool. Love to hear that. We did the same thing at my schools.
good.
For our listeners, our guest today is Jennifer Boberg. She's a longtime teacher, middle school AD. Now she's the interim athletic director for the Sun Prairie Area School District in Wisconsin. We're going to take our first break, but we're coming back with some more. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Gipper for their support of the podcast. Go to Gipper.com and their team is going to show you how you can create world-class marketing content for your school's social media channel. Your kids are on social media, and if you're not posting, you're really missing the boat. Promote your athletes, celebrate your team's accomplishments, and it's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com, mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. That's Gipper.com. We also want to say thank you to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. If you're not selling your tickets online, you really should consider it. And if you go to hometownticketing.com, they're going to show you how to set up and sell tickets online, not just for athletic events, but things like school plays, concerts, school dances, even graduation. And here's the best part. Every step of the way, you're going to have a dedicated client success manager providing hands-on support. That's every step of the way. Go to hometownticketing.com to find out more. More support, more security, and more customization. Hometown is here to make the best solution for you. Welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. We're visiting today with Jennifer Boberg. She's a longtime teacher, coach, and middle school AD. Now she's the interim athletic director at Sun Prairie East High School, and that's in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Jennifer, you talked a little bit about your early career and the variety of jobs that you had. Just great. Talk a little bit about becoming the athletic administrator and what I call sitting on the other side of the desk. How did that happen? And how have you, what are some things that you've done as that athletic director, particularly at the middle school level?
Sure, thanks. So teaching at the building I was at, it was a 8th and 9th grade building. And I think I had been there maybe 2 or 3 years. My colleague, another PE teacher, was taking care of athletics. And he was kind of ready to be shifting out of that role. So he started having me, sit in some meetings for him and help him do some things. And he knew I was going to school for athletic administration. And so he eventually, just kind of said, I'm going to, be done with this, would love to see you, fill in and move on in this role too. And so when it was posted, I applied and, it was a good fit. It was in addition to our full-time teaching load, however, though. So I was kind of still am holding 2 hats, really, with teaching a full load and then also doing some of the athletic stuff more of it as an after school role. So it was a little bit more to take on my plate. I think I slowly stepped out of the coaching role and a little bit more into the athletic director-ish role. And along with personally starting a family and things like that. So the coaching stepped back for me. So I also coached volleyball, basketball, and track for middle school, and just sort of took over that leadership position more. And so I enjoy that because I get to see a little bit more of everything. And it was unique because I would also see some students during the school day in teaching PE. So I was really able to make those connections, and say, hey, you would be really great on the track team, or you would be an awesome ball player. We got to get you on the court, and just kind of being that connecting factor. So that was really fun and good for the students too. And so let's see, in working as a middle school AD, we would be working with the high school athletic directors as well, throughout the year for budget stuff and equipment and big ticket items for our whole district. And so that's sort of where I got connected and working at the high school level more, and just kind of volunteering. And as some people may or may not know, we just split to two high schools. Last year was our first year as Sun Prairie East and Sun Prairie West. And so I was involved in kind of some of the planning behind the scenes, and building the new high school, the athletic fields, the new stadium that we have. And so I've kind of worn a lot of hats in the last, 5-7 years or so as far as athletics go.
Yeah, I remember those days. You're teaching a full load, you're coaching. You said 3 sports. I remember when I first started out at a middle school, we actually had 4 seasons. And then, oh, by the way, I think you'd be good as a assistant AD. Boy, I had a question there, and now it just completely lost me there. Oh, here it is. You mentioned that you're kind of born and raised in the Sun Prairie area. We ask this question a lot whenever it comes up. How was that coming back to your old school? I'm going to guess even as, the middle school AD, some of your former coaches and teachers were in that building. How was that dynamic coming back?
Yeah, it was really weird. I remember the first year feeling like, man, I still feel like I'm your student, or, I don't feel like I should also just be your colleague, but over time that kind of fades. But it is funny, still too, even to this day now, I have some high school coaches here who taught me, and now I'm sitting in the athletic director role. So it is kind of funny, but everybody's been really, great about it. It hasn't been a problem, but yeah, it definitely was, comes full circle, and it's kind of cool.
Again, I hate to talk about me. Actually, no, I love to talk about me. When I graduated from college, I spent a couple years as a substitute teacher. And one day, I came back to my old high school as a substitute, and my best friend who had gone to a different college also as a teacher. And we're both there as substitutes. And we walk into the teachers, back then, the teachers lounge
Sure.
at lunchtime. And here's all of our coaches, all of our teachers. They turn around and they go, "You guys became teachers?" And we might have been a little mischievous back in the day. And it's funny you mentioned I'm 65 years old, and we're planning a trip back to the Pacific Northwest where I grew up. I played a year of minor league football after college, semi-pro without the pro. But I'm having lunch with my old coach who's in his 80s, and we're trading emails.
Nice.
And I'm saying, Coach, it's going to be good to see you, coach this, coach that. And he goes, "Jake, my name's Hugh." And I go, "I don't think so. You're Coach Wyatt to me." So still,
Yeah.
they have that effect on
Yeah.
us. Are you any of your former coaches, you calling them by their first name?
A lot of them have just, shorter nicknames that just have always stuck. And through coaching, I've just kind of called them that. But yeah, some of them are still pretty formal. So
Yeah,
it's good.
exactly. That's some of them, I've run into coaches from back in the day, and I've been able to call him the first name. This guy, he's going to be coach. For listeners, we're visiting today. We really are with Jennifer Boberg. She's the interim athletic director at Sun Prairie East High School in Wisconsin. Tremendous background as a teacher, as a coach, as an athletic director. We're going to take another quick break, but we're coming back with more. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank Snap Mobile for their support of the podcast. Go to snapraise.com and you're going to find their entire suite of platforms designed to help you as an athletic director do your job better. If you're looking for a fundraising platform, stop right here. SnapRaise is hands down the best fundraising platform out there. They'll even give you your funding before you actually start your fundraiser. Nobody else does that. But there's so much more. You've got Snap Manage, Snap Store, Snap Connect, and a whole lot more. You'll find them all at snapraise.com. That's snapraise.com. We also want to say thank you to District 1. Go to District 1, that's WON, and you're going to feel like you've won when you see their fully custom uniforms, their on-time delivery, and their one-at-a-time replacement program. You're never going to have to buy a full set of uniforms again when you just need one or two replacement pieces. Go to district1.com, click on the Team Gear button, and you'll get a free quote. That's district1.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. Jennifer, we always like to ask our guests where they're at with their state association and with the NIAAA as far as their journey. We want to continue to be lifelong learners in this field of educational athletics. So where are you at right now with your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I have, luckily, through the Ohio University program, a lot of their coursework was built in with a lot of the LTI courses. It was a handful of years ago. I don't recall exactly, which courses I took, but I know that I had to take one more recently. And I think I did it on the online platform, actually through the NIAAA on the website, so that I can be that one step closer to getting the CAA certification. And I think I have all of the ones I need. It's just something that's been on the to-do list for a while.
What and again, we've had both folks. We had Kelly, I want to say Kelly Walton, and now, boy, I'm having a senior moment. I can't think of the other gentleman that runs the Ohio University program. They've both been on the podcast. We know it's a great program. Actually, we had an intern at the school where I was the AD get his master's through that, distance learning. And now he's the assistant AD at my old school. So it's a great, great program.
Yeah, awesome.
And again, I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm going to do it anyway. What are some of the concepts, maybe not the specific course names, but what were some of the things that you can recall from your coursework that you've seen play out and you've actually used as an athletic director?
Yeah, I think a lot of, the legal, especially, I don't know if it's a legal duties class, but a lot of those different policies come up at school all the time. If you're dealing with athletic code violations and things relating to social media, and just making sure that you are following all those policies appropriately. Let's see, what else? Leadership, just, general leadership traits and how to be a more effective leader. There was one related to budgets and financials, I believe. And that one definitely has helped because we're, managing a middle school athletic budget and also a high school athletic budget amongst different schools. So, that was huge. What else can I think of? Off the top of my head, those are the three that really stand out. Right.
Well,
Title IX too, that's always something that's running through our heads all the time.
yeah, you mentioned the legal courses. And I don't think there's a single athletic director that's ever taken one of the several legal courses and not left that meeting going, wow, I need to get my act together. We need to do a better job at our school. And you bring that information back to the coaches because they're the ones that are on the front line. They're going to make it happen or not. So
Right.
very good stuff. Let's go ahead and give a shout out for LTIs. You won't hear it by the time this airs, but I'll be teaching along with the great Holly Farnese, one of the middle school courses, LTI 700 this coming Monday. We'll also be teaching those at the national conference, which for our listeners and for you too, Jennifer, it's going to be in Orlando, Florida this year. So we'll expect to see you all down in Orlando for the national conference. So looking at professional development for your coaches, I think athletic directors, it's one of their favorite things to do, but with scheduling and budgeting and supervision and everything else that we have to do in that one prep period they give us, sometimes professional development falls by the wayside. What are some things that you've done as an AD in the area of professional development for your coaches that you can share with our listeners?
Sure. I definitely can't take credit for it, but something that our district has done is started to offer professional development over the summer a little bit, because that's, off season for most of us. And a lot of coaches are teachers who have a little bit more flexibility in scheduling in the summer. So we've brought in either head coaches within the district to sort of host a professional development meeting for all the other coaches in the district, or we've brought in people from, the community. So for example, just last month or last week, we had a sports dietitian come in who lives in the community, also has students in the district, share about the importance of fueling your athletes before and after competitions. We had our athletic trainers come in and, share the importance of, responding to medical events or being prepared, having an emergency action plan, those types of things. So kind of utilizing the people and the resources that are the experts in our area and just organizing that as a professional development session has been good. Now, I think we would have more turnout too if we maybe offered some of it virtually. The timing, like you said, it's hard really to really please everybody or get something that works for everybody, but we just try to vary it up. And, throughout the year, we like to offer and have our coaches use the NFHS Learn platform. That's been really beneficial because coaches can do that when they have time. And yeah, I think those are some of the main things we've done in Sun Prairie.
No, and again, those are great ideas and great ways to reach your coaches. You're certainly not the only AD that's, putting on, Zoom and virtual programs just because of the timing. Everyone's so busy.
Right.
And it's great that your district is supporting that as well. Jennifer, we're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but sounds like you're doing some pretty cool things. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Sure. They could send me an email or we reach out over LinkedIn. So I'm happy to share that with you as well.
Okay. If you don't mind, go ahead and give out the best
sure.
email address.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. You could reach me at jhandel07@gmail.com. And gosh, I don't even know what, I think on LinkedIn, it's just my name. You can look me up, Jennifer Boberg, and you should find me. So
right.
Send
and
me
we'll
a
give out that
direct message.
Yeah, we'll give out that email address again at the end of the podcast. And
Okay.
That's how Jennifer and I met, was on LinkedIn.
Yep.
So good stuff. Jennifer Boberg, interim athletic director at Sun Prairie East High School, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. We're going to take another quick break, but we're coming back with even more best practices on the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo and see their scoreboards and their score tables in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Products are tremendously versatile, and their customer service is just great. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to thank Home Campus for their support. Home Campus is the exclusive high school and state association management platform for the podcast. It's also your one-stop platform for things like athletic clearance, schedules, association software, and a lot more. I used home campus every single day as an athletic director, and so should you. For more information, just go to homecampus.com. That's homecampus.com. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. Jennifer, one of the things we have always tried to do with the podcast is this idea of sharing best practices. So I'm going to put you on the spot again. What are some things that you have done with your teams, your coaches, your kids, your programs that you're particularly proud of that you would consider a best practice to share?
Sure. Well, I think something we have to be proud of in Sun Prairie is just our overall structure as an athletic department. We've grown a lot over the years, but we have an athletic director at each high school, and then we also have a sport coordinator or middle school AD, if you will. In each middle school, we have 3 middle schools. And so between, the 5 of us and all the administrative support that we have, it's just really a good format in having a person of contact in each building, and really working together to keep middle school and high school athletics school sponsored through our district, because it just really is a good connecting thing for those kids to bring them into school and keep them there. So our structure really is something that I think has come a long way and we're proud of. And then also just sort of something related to, hosting competitions is something I pride myself on, is making sure that we're always prepared, really for anything. And so setting up those emergency action plans, or who to call for if something were to happen, and making sure those workers and officials, have a sheet right in front of them on that score table, or, just what to do when, and making sure people are prepared for any scenario that could happen. And one of those includes also hiring and having like an event manager or a game manager at those events, because we all know athletic directors may have multiple events in an evening and they can't always be, everywhere. And so having sort of that lead or point of contact manager on site at each home competition has really helped us too. So.
Yeah, I stumbled across, the site manager phenomenon kind of by accident, and it's just one of those things. Gee, I wish I would have known this earlier. We had just some great coaches. Some were veteran coaches, some were younger coaches, but they wanted to kind of stretch their wings, I guess, in athletic administration, and being able to hire them as site managers, particularly when we had multiple events. Maybe we've got soccer on the field, and in Florida, soccer's in the winter. So basketball in the gym, and maybe tennis going on down on the tennis courts. You can't be everywhere at once, but having those event site managers, you can kind of circulate. Just a great idea. We talked about this a little bit, so it's not quite an ambush. You spent some time working, running a middle school program.
Mm-hmm.
Middle school parents are a particular group. What were some things that you maybe did with, communication, whether it's, scheduling or philosophy or things like that? How did you help middle school parents understand that you and your coaches really did love their kids, and that they could be comfortable turning them over to you?
Sure. Well, right off the bat, before seasons begin, we always send out like a mass email to families who have signed up for sports, just welcoming them, introducing coaches, explaining our philosophy right away at the beginning, that everybody's welcome. We have no cut policy, and it's a relatively easy commitment too. It's not super hard on families. We're quick practices after school. There's no weekend commitments, just sending frequent communication. And I also encourage coaches to have like a beginning of the season, parent meeting. And since COVID, a lot of those things have shifted to Zoom meetings. And actually we've seen higher turnouts, on Zoom. It's just a lot easier for some parents. And so that's what works for some coaches to do that. I know we have some platforms where we're able to, for example, like a Google Classroom or whatever, where students and families can kind of be connected and messages can be sent, more directly. They can sign up for text or email alerts. But those are some of the ways that we stay connected with our families.
Yeah, Zoom has really, I'm going to say, added to, the things that we can do to communicate those philosophies, schedules, changes in schedules. So, great stuff. We're going to take another break, but we're not done yet. Please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. They're on a mission to help you bring your school's legacy to life. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or to showcase your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to celebrate your school's diverse history, your proudest moments, and your top role models. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Tell them you heard about it on the podcast. You'll get a nice discount. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that helped them coach our kids up to their highest level. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 8 million users and turn your school into a Huddle school. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. Jennifer, you and I were talking during the break, and you mentioned a really cool program that your district does. And I think our listeners would like to hear about it. Can you share some of those details?
Sure. Our district is very focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI work, and it's really important to us. And so something that the athletic department is pretty proud of this year is that we are offering free sports physicals through our district wellness clinic for anybody that qualifies for a fee waiver in our district. We're hoping, to remove that barrier of participation, right? Because having a physical is a requirement for our state association for athletes to participate. And so, we want to try to remove all the barriers that we can so we can get the most kids out and connected to school. So having them, have another way to get a sports physical free of charge through us was really exciting to offer. In the past, we've offered, free sports physical days, sponsored by various clinics or what have you. But this is a little bit more sustainable and more kind of a long-term option that we're pretty proud of.
Now, listening to that, it just sounds like a really, cool program. And, for athletic directors and coaches, I'll use my age. I'm probably the oldest guy listening. Our typical, if there is something that's typical, the high school or community, it is much more diverse than it was 100 years ago when I was in high school. And so I think you have to be intentional about these types of initiatives because there are people in your community that this is going to maybe be the difference between coming out for a sport or not coming out for a sport. Jen, I don't expect you to be an expert across the country, but in your community, what were some infrastructure things that y'all had to do to help, some of these programs get going? So for an AD that's listening out there, what's their first start? Where do they start?
Sure. Well, and this is definitely something that was not just me. I can't take credit for this, like I said, but connecting with your district administrators, connecting with probably various clinics in your community. We're fortunate, obviously, to be near Madison and Dane County, so we have lots of different medical facilities and clinics around, and ultimately just connecting, making partnerships and starting the conversation. How can we make this happen? And it's taken a long time, and we've finally gotten to a place where we have this employee wellness clinic, and hey, how can we expand? How can we, branch out? And, all it takes is one person's idea, and you just gotta bring it up and start the conversation within your district administrators and some partnerships in the community, and you never know what could happen.
And I guarantee, I'm going to guess your community is very much like, the community where I was at, Tallahassee, before I retired. You have, and you, meaning people listening right now, you have people, that are doctors, that are physical therapists, that are, have the ability to offer your district something that went to your high school. And maybe they're just waiting for that phone call. Introduce yourself, reach out, as Jenn said, make that connection. We talk about helping the kids. Well, what a great way to help them by providing that type of service. Great idea. Glad you were able to share that. Well, this has been kind of cool, spending time with you. I wish we had some more time, but we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. You're certainly not a new AD. You know your way around the world of athletics, but we're going to take our final break. And when we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on the very first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 things in their toolbox. So let's hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsor this segment. When we come back, we're going to find out what Jennifer Boberg is going to put in her new athletic director toolbox. We want to thank Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. Athletic Surveys are a quick, easy, and an affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire program. Athletic directors already hear back from the people who want to complain, the 2% that want to gripe about everything. Athletic Surveys will connect you with the 2%, but they'll also connect you with the 98% that love and support your program. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with that frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey for your program that lets you take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. That's athleticsurveys.com. Make sure you visit them today. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We have been visiting with Jennifer Boberg, the interim athletic director at Sun Prairie East High School. That's in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Tremendous athletic background, an athlete, a coach, an administrator. But right now, I'm going to challenge her to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job. But I'm only going to let her put 3 things in the toolbox. So, Jennifer, what 3 items are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Yeah, well, these are all sort of conceptual tools, if you will, but I think are super important that will help you out. So first thing I would say is to take one day at a time and one task at a time. Focus on one thing. It's easy to have a bunch of tabs open on your computer and answer the phone and talk to whoever's stopping in your office, but really just try to prioritize your list. And I always try to start with that hardest thing or the trickiest thing or the thing that's just really kind of eating at me that I'm not sure I want to tackle. Do that thing first, and then the rest of it seems easy. Okay. Second thing would be to make sure you carve out time in your calendar. For me, I just use a Google Calendar, but actually schedule time in there to answer any correspondence, like voicemails, emails, connecting on a phone call quick with a coach, just actually putting that time on your schedule so that it's a priority and things get done. Lastly would be to find a mentor or just another athletic director or small group of athletic directors in the area near you, so that you can reach out and have that system of support, because, it can be a lonesome job. There's usually only 1 or 2 of you in the district, and it's nice to bounce ideas off of other people who are probably going through similar things. So those would be my 3 tools for you.
Wow. You probably saw me scribbling down notes there. 3 of those tools are in our top 4 toolbox categories. So you almost had a 3 for 3, a perfect game. But great tools. I love them all. I love the way you phrase that: one day, one task. Very good way to look at it. Scheduling that intentional. I know that's a buzzword now. Intentional time to go through the messages. Jenn, this has been great. Really glad we were able to connect. Appreciate you spending time with our listeners. If one of them wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Sure. Thanks again for having me. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can send me an email at jhandel07@gmail.com.
Jennifer Boberg, interim, hopefully they're going to remove that interim tag, athletic director for the Sun Prairie East High School, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Thanks again for being on. All the best for the rest of the summer and the start of a new school year.
Thanks for having me.
It was great. For our listeners, we do this just about every day, and we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening. Come back next time for another great interview on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.